being able to have this opportunity to talk to you all this afternoon. I'm here on behalf of the Kentucky Association of Conservation Districts, where I serve as the Vice President. I also serve on my local board as the Chairman for the Henry County Conservation District. The purpose of KACD is to provide leadership to conservation districts to help them to better implement their district programs. Just a little bit about myself. I'm from Henry County. I farm in Henry County. I'm in a partnership with my brother where we have 200 cow-calf, 200 brood cow-calf operation in Henry County. I am retired from the Division of Waste Management. I worked in the Division of Water and in surface mining. It's been several years, but in Division of Water, I did work in the pretreatment program, and that's a program, part of the Clean Water Act, that protected publicly owned treatment works from industrial discharges. So I'm somewhat familiar with watershed coordination from my time back in the Division of Water, but I'm clearly only know enough to be dangerous. But I do realize that you all do have quite an awesome responsibility. So I commend you on your efforts, and I hope that I can tell you a little something about conservation districts. Where did we come from? How did we get here? We actually started out of the disaster known as the Dust Bowl. We were part of a solution to fix that problem. Well, how did the Dust Bowl start? 3 homestead bills back at the turn of the century led to a massive influx of new and inexperienced farmers to the Great Plains. In 1925 to 1930, there was a post-World War I recession that led farmers in the Southern Plains, this is the area of New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, and Kansas, to buy plows and other farming mechanisms, and more than 5 million acres that were previously unfarmed were plowed. In 1930, the farmers in that area produced record crops. And up until that point, for the past 5 years, that area had received adequate rainfall. Well, in 1931, the rain stopped. Overproduction of wheat, the Great Depression, prices dropped, and farmers actually plowed up even more, trying to turn a profit and to get their production costs back from the previous year. Well, when the rain stopped, all the crops failed, and the land was just barren, and topsoil blew from the fertile topsoil blew from the fields. It was recorded that I think the first year there were 14 dust storms. The next year there were 38 dust storms. Some of these dust storms were 2 miles high, that went up 2 miles in the sky and stretched and went over for 2,000 miles. Actually, ships on the East Coast were covered in dirt. So as a result of this, in 1933, the Soil Erosion Service, later named the Soil Conservation Service in 1935, was enacted by Congress. And conservation districts were started by the standard state law that developed conservation districts. I think Congress knew at the time that they realized, since 3/4 of the land in the continental United States was publicly owned, they realized that only active, grassroots, voluntary support would get conservation programs on the ground. And conservation districts did just that. In Kentucky, in 1940, the Kentucky Revised Statute Chapter of 262 was created, and it created conservation districts. We are political subdivisions of the state. We are not associated with a county or city government. We are independent, and every conservation district has a board of 7 supervisors. We are actually elected officials. There are 121 conservation districts in the county. Every county in the state has a conservation district. There's 2 in Logan County. That's how you come up with 121. Our purpose, simply put, to conserve and develop all renewable natural resources. That's our goal. We set priorities. We provide local leadership. We have the ability to develop programs and implement programs that can promote conservation in our counties. We're a great starting point to know what conservation practices exist in a county, to know what the needs are, what the priorities are, what BMPs are being implemented, ag water quality plans, who has a comprehensive nutrient management plan, and I can go on. We're a great starting point to coordinate work with the Natural Resource Conservation Service, which was known as the Soil Conservation Service. Our staff works with them, and we are a great starting point. You may find it necessary to know what of the conservation practices that are on the ground. Our state conservationist, Greg Stone, last year started focused conservation practices. That's where a resource concern has been identified, and EQIP dollars are used to fund on a large scale, going across more than just one farm, to address that resource concern. I've got sprinkled listed there. That's the typical voluntary process where producers, landowners come in and apply, and they could be scattered throughout the county. So for focused projects, that may, again, along with sprinkle practices, that may be of some interest to watershed coordinators. Also, with the Division of Conservation, we're a great starting point to know what practices are out there, as well as if there are any bad actors. If Division of Water has gone out and wrote an NOV to a producer or a landowner, or Division of Waste, I assume they could do that as well. We could be a starting point to collect more information about that. For water quality issues, we could be a possible source. Obviously, most of the data that I'm aware of comes from the Division of Water, and they collect, and we could be aware. It just depends on the district and what practices and or what bad actors or what focused practices are going on there. Also to know within a county, within the watershed, what programs are going on within a district. Okay, I want to list just a number of different programs that are available for landowners and producers. The first one I wanted to mention, the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, that is EQIP. Folks, these are very popular programs. Last federal fiscal year, Greg Stone mentioned that there were approximately $44 million of requests for conservation practices. There's only $18 million that he had to spend on it. But as you can see, there's a lot of folks interested in conservation. Needless to say, the Conservation Stewardship Program, that's where a producer or landowner has implemented a lot of practices, and they're implementing additional BMPs as well. State cost share. This is listed, it's an item in the biennial budget. This year it's only a one-year budget, but and we have $2.5 million for state cost share. And those are things that the Kentucky Association of Conservation Districts, we lobby for funds for state cost share. Districts may also have local cost share programs, as well as educational programs, outreach programs. These may be programs that you might want to find out about or need to know, and the progress or the conservation work that's being done there. In addition, some conservation districts have their own employees, soil technicians, and most all have administrative secretaries. Excuse me. Who do we work with? All the stakeholders that have an interest in conservation. Education and outreach, we do just a number of different things. I know Facebook has become very, very popular, and my guess is that Facebook is probably the place to go now to find what's going on in a district. It's much easier to update and use, and to get it to our stakeholders much easier, as opposed to websites that sometimes don't get updated as much as they should. Pictured in this screen is the Henry County Conservation Annual Cooperators Dinner, and I'm just thrilled to tell you that we've got a lot of support, a lot of folks that are interested in conservation. We do that annually, and we have a great turnout, and we're mighty proud of that. Funds for conservation districts. Two sources, primary two sources, millage tax, which is a property tax, or appropriation from fiscal court. Some conservation districts have adequate funding, and some really don't have enough to keep the lights on. So if you are going to contact them, well, please keep in mind some only have staff for a day or two a week. So please leave a message, and I'm certain they'll get back with you and get in touch with you as soon as possible. So just be patient. No two districts are alike. Depends on the demographics of the county and the topography. It all just depends. So you'll find a wide array of programs and priorities within a conservation district. Educational programs. We try to teach kids at a young age. I know it's a great opportunity for conservation districts to do that. As you can see pictured here, there's an elementary program that's going on, and pictured on your right is the Envirothon team from Fayette County, and I think they've gone on to compete at a national level. So we're very proud of those folks as well, and happy to have the opportunity to teach conservation to our youth as well. There are many different types of conservation practices. As a watershed coordinator, I would think you'd have an interest in knowing what's out there and what the different practices that could be available to a landowner or producer that may help alleviate some issues that you might be seeing. So it just varies, and these practices will go back to federal, state cost share. It just depends. There's a wide array of programs that could be available to a producer or farmer or landowner. Okay, ag districts. We want to take just a moment to mention ag districts. I know there's a lot of interest in ag districts. A lot of landowners that you get extra points when you apply, generally speaking. One of the biggest interests that we have in ag districts is the fact that your property cannot be annexed. Ag districts are regulated by the Division of Conservation, and we're the first starting point. There's a petition that you'd have to fill out. You have to have 250 contiguous acres. Your adjoining landowners would have to sign off on that, and it's a great process and program to get involved in. Watershed Conservancy districts. There are actually, I've got a mistake here, there's 38 water conservancy districts in the state, and their primary focus is on flood control. The Division of Conservation should have a listing of these, and I know with in my county, the watershed for Lake Jericho, it is in 2 counties. It has its own board member. They have their own taxing district, and their primary focus is on maintaining the integrity of those dams. There's 5 structures in the Lake Jericho watershed, and the largest one is Lake Jericho, 125-acre lake. So they're extremely concerned about making sure the integrity of that dam is going on. I know they do host field visits for school kids that come out, and they will do testing. And we're very proud to have that asset in our county. Okay, folks, our partnership has been with NRCS, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, with the Division of Conservation for as long as I can remember. This has been a partnership that has worked well, and I'm proud to say that we've done conservation well in Kentucky. I'm proud to tell you that we've gotten conservation on the ground, and that's been the goal, I think, of every conservation district and all the folks that have been in the Division of Conservation and with NRCS. If we can help you in any way, please let us know. Got a contact here. Crystal Renfro is our executive director. My contact information is listed here as well. So if you have any questions, just get in touch with us and we'll go from there. I've also listed the KY Conservation site here. You can go there, and I think more so there are Facebook links here that you can go to if you want to, if within your watershed you want to take a look at that. Please go to that site. There's also conservation.ky.gov that the Division of Conservation has. There's a little bit more formal listing than they've listed the actual websites that a conservation district has. So it just depends on what you're after. And if I can help you in any way, please let me know. So I'll open it up for questions.